You know, I had a bit of an existential crisis the other night. It was laundry day.
Oh boy, the most mundane of all days.
The most mundane. I'm standing there sorting the whites from the colors, hunting for that one sock that always seems to just vanish into another dimension. And I had the TV on.
Naturally. Background noise is, it's essential for chores.
It's essential. And I put on this massive, super expensive action movie on Netflix, something with a budget bigger than the GDP of a small country.
Of course.
And about 20 minutes in, I realized something that actually kind of scared me. I hadn't looked at the screen for more than 30 seconds at a time. I was basically listening to it like a radio play.
But let me guess.
Yeah.
You knew exactly who the bad guy was, you knew what the stakes were, and you probably knew exactly where the MacGuffin was hidden.
That's the terrifying part. I followed the plot perfectly. I hadn't seen anything, but I knew everything. Yeah. And I just stood there, holding a bottle of detergent and thought, am I the problem?
Well, in the eyes of the modern entertainment industry, you are not the problem at all. You are the target demographic. You, my friend, are the primary consumer of what we're calling Tide Pod cinema.
Tide Pod cinema. That term hooked me the second I saw it in our research stack for today. It's from a breakdown by the YouTube channel Pop Culture Crisis, and honestly, it is the perfect label for the void we are staring.
It really is. I mean, it's catchy, sure, but it's also a deeply functional description of the modern audience. The industry isn't making movies for a dark, quiet theater anymore.
Wow.
They are making content designed specifically for people who are, tossing a Tide Pod into the wash, wrangling a toddler, and doom scrolling on their phone, all while the movie just kind of plays in the background.
And today, we're going to find out if this is just a vague feeling we all have that movies are getting simpler, or if it's an actual, a structural change in how Hollywood works.
Because the evidence suggests it's very much the latter.
Oh, for sure. We've got a stack of sources here that suggests it is. We're talking about these secret mandates at Netflix regarding script writing, the death of the slow burn, and a terrifying new vertical app called Pine Drama that features, I kid you not, billionaires and werewolves.
It's a wild ride. We're basically going to trace the collapse of the modern attention span from the writing room all the way down to the screen that's in your pocket.
And to kick this whole thing off, we really have to look at a recent event involving two guys who definitely know how the sausage is made, Matt Damon and Ben Affleck.
Yeah, two titans of the industry. You can't get much more inside than that.
Exactly. So they recently went on the Joe Rogan Experience. Now, normally when A-listers go on Rogan or, any podcast really, it's a standard press junket.
Right. It's very controlled.
Very controlled. They shake hands. They kiss babies. They talk about how much they love the studio they're working with. And ostensibly, that's what this was. They were there to promote their new production company, Artists Equity, and a new movie they have landing on Netflix.
Right. And the rule of thumb in Hollywood is pretty simple. When you're premiering a movie on a streaming service, you play nice. You talk about their creative freedom, their massive reach, the wonderful partnership.
But that is not what happened here. Not at all. They went off script, or maybe more accurately, they pulled back the curtain on the script. They had some surprisingly candid, almost, I'd say, choice words regarding Netflix's creative mandates.
I was shocked when I saw them.
Me too. And hearing Matt Damon say it, it just validated every single suspicion I've had about the last 5 years.
It's just so rare to hear from the top of the food chain. Usually these are complaints that come from indie directors or screenwriters venting on Twitter after a few drinks.
Right, it's niche stuff.
Yeah, but when Matt Damon says, here's how the algorithm dictates the script, you kind of have to sit up and listen.
So let's get into the meat of this, the so-called Netflix. Our source material treats this as a complete open secret in the end, something common knowledge for writers, but totally unknown. What exactly is the accusation?
It's all about exposition.
Yeah.
Specifically, the rate and the frequency of exposition. The source claims that Netflix screenwriters are under a very strict, very specific instruction to have their characters restate the plot constantly.
How constantly are we talking? Is it like a recap at the beginning of an episode?
No, it's much more insidious than that. It's woven into the scene work itself. The figure that gets mentioned in the source is 3 or 4 times.
3 or 4 times in a single scene.
In a scene or a sequence, yeah. The characters need to verbally reiterate what is happening, what just happened, and what is about to happen multiple times throughout the dialogue.
That's excessive. It reminds me of children's television, like, Dora, are we going to the spooky forest? Yes, we are going.
Well, it feels excessive if you are watching close. If you're sitting in a theater or you have your phone in another room, that kind of dialogue sounds incredibly clunky and unnatural.
That's for sure.
But Netflix is a data company first and a movie studio second. Their data tells them with terrifying accuracy that you are not watching close.
And Damon put this perfectly in that interview. He validated the exact scenario I had with my lawn. He said, you know, when you're in a movie theater, you are a captive audience. The lights are down, the phone is off. You have no choice but to pay it. But at home?
At home, the environment is fundamentally hostile to traditional cinema. To kind of quote Damon's sentiment from the source, the lights are on, the kids are running around, the dog is barking, other shit's going on.
It's a chaotic environment. It's not a sacred space.
Precisely.
Yeah.
So imagine you're the writer. You know that at any given moment, the viewer, the person you're writing for, might look down to answer a text or check an email. If they look down during a pivotal visual moment, say a character subtly revealing a weapon or a quiet look of betrayal, and they miss that visual cue. When they look back up, they're confused.
And confusion leads to boredom.
And boredom leads to?
Confusion leads to the click away. And Netflix is absolutely terrified of the click away. Retention is their one and only god. So they force the writer to have the characters say out loud, I am hiding this knife for later, or I can't believe you betrayed. It ensures that the audio track basically keeps you oriented even when your eyes are on.
That is just so cynical. It basically turns the dialogue into a GPS navigation system for the plot, recalculating narrative trajectory. You missed a turn.
It is cynical, but from a business retention standpoint, you can't argue with it. It works. It keeps the Tide Pod audience engaged just enough to not turn it off. And it's not just the dialogue. This whole philosophy has completely inverted the structure of the film itself.
Yeah, I loved this part of the breakdown. Damon drew a really sharp, really clear comparison between the old way of making action movies and the Netflix way. It's a complete structural shift. Think about the old way. Think about a classic 90s action movie, right? Like Die Hard or The Matrix.
Yeah.
You usually have a 3-act structure when it comes to the set piece.
Right. You've got Act 1, where you set the scene, you introduce the characters, maybe have a little action, establish the hero skills.
Cool. Okay.
Then Act 2, you raise the stakes, you have a bigger chase or a bigger fight. And then Act 3 is the finale.
Exactly. Act 3 is where you blow the budget, the biggest explosion, the highest drama, the final resolution. It's a ramp.
Yeah.
You build tension and stakes until the big release at the very end.
But Damon says Netflix has completely flipped the ramp.
Totally. The mandate now is, and this is almost a direct quote, can we get a big one in the first 5 minutes?
They want the finale level explosion right at the start, the big shebang.
They want the money on the screen immediately. Because of that Tide Pod factor, if the first 10 minutes are slow character building or, God forbid, atmospheric silence or just world building,
they lose the audience to Instagram.
Instantly. They need to hook you with overwhelming visual noise before you can even think to unlock your phone.
It makes so much sense why so many of these movies feel so front-loaded now.
Yeah.
You get this massive, incredible sequence at the beginning, and then the whole middle kind of sags because they've spent all the money and the ideas hooking you.
It completely changes the pace. It sacrifices the slow burn for the immediate dopamine.
It reminds me of that old screenwriting axiom, show, don't tell. It's the first thing they teach you in film school. Cinema is a visual medium. You don't have a character say, I'm sad. You show them crying.
Right.
But it sounds like we've just completely moved to tell and then tell again, just in case.
Well, show, don't tell relies on a contract with the audience.
Right.
It assumes the audience is looking at the image.
A contract we've broken.
We've all broken it. If the audience isn't looking, show is completely useless. You have to tell. In fact, our source brought up a really interesting exception that kind of proves this rule. A film on Netflix called Adolescent.
Oh, right. The outlier. The one that somehow slipped through the cracks of the algorithm.
Exactly. It's described as this dark, tragic, really intense film. And it uses the language of pure cinema long shots at the backs of people's heads, lingering silences, very, very minimal dialogue. It demands that you read the visual language to understand the emotional state of the character.
And what was the result? The speaker in our source material, who is a professional who analyzes this stuff for a living, admitted they had to rewatch it to understand it.
Which is so telling, isn't it? It just highlights how conditioned we've all become. We have been actively trained by the content we consume to expect the audio to do all the heavy lifting.
Yeah.
When a movie actually asks us to use our eyes and interpret a silence or a look, it feels foreign.
Yeah.
It feels like hard work.
It's like our visual literacy is atrophying. We're forgetting how to watch movies because we're so used to content that just explains itself to us over and over.
And that leads to the harsher question that the source poses. And it's one that might sting a little for all of us. Is the audience stupid or are they just distracted?
That's the "are we the baddies" moment right there. The source explicitly asks if Netflix is, and I quote, calling the general public stupid by forcing these mandates on their raters.
And the expert opinion in the source is, well, they might not be wrong. But there's nuance there. It's not that people are innately unintelligent. It's not that we've suddenly lost IQ points in the last decade.
It's the environment again. The laundry room.
It's brain chemistry. The argument is that constant overstimulation literally changes how your brain processes information. If you're multitasking, watching a movie, folding laundry, checking sports scores, texting a friend, your brain cannot process nuance. It's not built for that. You are chemically in a state where you only have the bandwidth for simple, direct, repetitive information.
So you aren't stupid, but you are effectively rendering yourself stupid in the moment by splitting your attention 5 different ways.
Exact. You need the Tide Pod level of complexity because that's all your fragmented attention span can possibly metabolize in that moment.
To really hammer home how much this has changed, the source brought up a fantastic specific example in 2009, a show called White Collar.
This is a perfect benchmark. 2009 doesn't feel that long ago, does it? But technologically, I mean, it's a completely different epoch.
A lifetime ago.
The iPhone was barely out of the cradle. TikTok didn't exist. Instagram didn't exist. The idea of the second screen wasn't mainstream yet.
And White Collar wasn't some high-art HBO prestige drama. It was a USA Network show. It was a breezy, fun procedural about a con artist helping the FBI. This wasn't The Sopranos.
No, not at all. It was mass market entertainment. But look at the pilot episode. It opens with a sequence that lasts between 5 and 8 minutes. And in that entire time, there is zero dialogue. Not a single word is spoken.
Just Neil Caffrey, the main character, breaking out of a maximum security prison?
And it's brilliant visual story. We see him shaving his beard in the prison sink. We see him using a spray can to fake an ID card. We see him timing the guards, watching the gait pattern. We are literally watching him think.
Yeah, the show is demonstrating this guy is a genius without him ever turning to another character and saying, as you can see, I am a genius and I am currently formulating a plan to escape this prison.
It trusted the audience. It trusted you to follow the visual logic. But here's the kicker. Even back then, in 2009, the creator, Jeff Easton, had to fight the network tooth and nail for that scene.
Really? Even back then they were nervous.
Oh, yeah. The network executives were panicking. They thought 8 minutes without talking, people will get bored. They'll change the channel. But Easton fought for it. He promised them it would work to establish the character's core intelligence.
And he won.
And he won. And it worked beautifully. Because in 2009, watching TV was still largely a dedicated activity. You sat down, you looked at the box, you trusted the narrative to unfold.
If you pitched that today, an 8-minute silent opening for a mass market procedural on Netflix or Amazon Prime,
it would be dead on arrival. The analytics would come back and the drop-off rate in minute 2 would be catastrophic. People would think the audio was broken, or they'd just get bored and check their notifications. And the second they look down, you've lost them for good.
That is, it's genuinely depressing. It feels like we've lost the ability to just be with a story. But if we pivot slightly, it gets even weird. It's not just that we're losing our attention. We're now seeing the marketing for these shows begin to cannibalize the content itself.
Yes.
The source highlighted this really strange trend with Gen Z and a show called The Rookie.
This is where the data gets really fascinating and a little bit bizarre. The Rookie is, by all accounts, what the source calls a boomer procedural.
That's a great term.
It's a standard network cop show starring Nathan Fillion. It's about police protocol, patrol beats, paperwork. It is not Euphoria. It is not edgy or experimental.
It's quintessential dad TV.
It is the definition of dad TV. Yet for some reason, Gen Z is absolutely obsessed with it.
But they aren't actually watching the show, are they? Not in the traditional sense.
No, not really. They are watching the fan edits on TikTok.
Okay, so you have to explain this to me like I'm a boomer. What is a fan edit in this specific context?
So these video editors, usually young, very talented creators, take a 45-second clip from the show. But they don't pick the pivotal plot moment. They don't pick the scene where they solve the murder or catch the bad guy.
No.
They pick a vibe.
A vibe, of course.
Maybe the main actor, Nathan Fillion, looks cool holding a gun. Maybe there's a funny throwaway line or lingering romantic look between two characters. They take that little clip, they overlay some moody lo-fi hip-hop or what the source calls weird beats. They ramp up the contrast, maybe add some glitch effects or slow motion.
So they're taking a scene about, filing a police report and turning it into a mood board, a music.
Exactly. They isolate a micro moment and they strip it of all its narrative context. It becomes purely aesthetic. It's about the feeling of the character, not the story of the episode.
And the source mentioned that these clips often have absolutely nothing to do with the plot. It could be a throwaway line that meant nothing in the show. But on TikTok, it's a viral sensation with millions of views.
And here's is the major shift. The studios aren't ignoring this anymore. ABC and Lionsgate see these numbers, and they're not stupid. The source notes that Lionsgate has actually gone out and hired a team of Gen Z video editors specifically to create these vibes edits officially for the show's marketing.
Wait, hold on. So the studio hiring kids to make TikToks that essentially misrepresent their own show to get people to watch the show.
Misrepresent is a strong word, but yeah, basically. They are reverse engineering viral moments. They're creating marketing content for TikTok to funnel people back to the long-form product on Hulu or wherever. They know the show's a procedural, but they market it as a Vine.
But does that even work? I mean, if I see this cool, moody edit of a guy looking broody with all these glitch effects, and then I tune into the show and it's a standard procedural about chasing purse snatchers, aren't I going to be disappointed? Isn't that a bait and switch?
You would absolutely think so. It feels completely counterintuitive. But the conversion rate, as the source puts it, is apparently wild. People get hooked on the actor's face or the aesthetic of the edit, and they migrate over to watch the full show.
Even if the show is a totally different genre from the edit.
Apparently the bait is tasty enough that they don't mind the switch. Or maybe they just watch the show on their phone while waiting for those specific cool moments to happen and ignore the rest.
It just feels like the tail is wagging the dog. The 45-second edit is becoming more culturally important, more viral than the 45-minute episode it's based on.
We are rapidly moving toward a world where the show is just a raw material mine for the real content. The show exists only to provide an endless supply of clips for TikTok.
Speaking of raw material mines, we have to talk about the final boss of this entire trend. We've gone from Netflix mandates to TikTok. Now we have to go one level deeper and talk about Pine drama.
Yeah, the rise of the microdrama. If you thought Netflix was dumbing things down, Pine drama is drilling through the bottom of the barrel and finding a whole new dimension of content underneath.
I had never even heard of this until I read the source material, and now I can't unknow it. This is a brand new app that was quietly launched by Byte.
The same company that owns TikTok.
Yeah.
And that is a very, very...
For sure. And Pine Drama isn't trying to be YouTube. It's not trying to be Netflix. It is a platform dedicated entirely and exclusively to vertical drama. Show shot in a 9.1 sex aspect ratio designed explicitly to be held in your hand.
It's television for the phone, by the phone. And the features are, let's just say they're aggressive. The source highlights that you can speed up the playback, which is standard now, but you can also clear the screen with a single tap to remove all the UI if you want to focus.
And the comments. This part blew my mind. The source said the comment sections allow for real-time reaction with other users. It's like a built-in watch party happening constantly.
You aren't just watching this show. You're performing your viewership for everyone else. You're laughing with the crowd. You're gasping with the crowd. You're typing, OMG, and no, he didn't, at the plot twist. It completely gamifies the viewing experience.
But the content itself, oh my God, the content, the genres listed in the source are just incredible.
Right.
We have romance, supernatural, and my favorite category of all, sordid love affair.
It's the holy trinity of Pine drama. Vampires, werewolves, and billionaires.
I swear, every single title mentioned in the source had at least one of those three words in it. It's like a Mad Libs for melodrama.
It's incredibly algorithmically specific. They have solved the human desire for trashy melodrama and boiled it down to its core component.
The titles are just pure poetry. We have Love at First Bite. That one has 18 million.
Class can't go wrong.
We have The Return of the Divorced Heiress. We have My Unwanted Billionaire Ex. And the one that absolutely broke my brain, hit the jackpot, My Broke Chef Husband is a...
That last one is a masterpiece of logical confusion. The source speaker was completely baffled by it. My Broke Chef Husband is a billionaire. It implies a secret identity. Or maybe a sudden inheritance. Or maybe he's a billionaire who is pretending to be a broke chef to find true love.
It doesn't matter. The logic is irrelevant. The title alone triggers every single dopamine receptor for melodrama. It promises rags to riches, secrets, betrayal, and romance all in one glory.
It's soap opera on steroids. It's distilled, concentrated melodrama delivered in 2-minute chunks. It cuts out all the boring stuff, like character development, logic, pacing, and just gives you the slap, the kiss, and the shocking reveal.
It is slop, to use the term from the source, but it's highly engineered, weaponized slop. And the economics of it are, frankly, predatory. This is where it gets real.
Yes, the business model is fascinating in a grim way. The source mentioned that competitors in this exact space apps, like DramaBox or Real Short, are charging absolutely insane amounts of money.
How much are we talking?
We're talking upwards of $20 a week.
$20 a week? That's $80 a month. Netflix is what, $15, $20? Disney Plus is less than that. How are they charging premium cable prices for 2-minute werewolf clips?
It's the whale model that they perfected in mobile gaming.
Yeah.
They hook you with the first 5 or 10 episodes for free. The classic, first hit is free strategy. And these episodes are meticulously designed to end on massive, unbearable cliffhanger. The husband is about to reveal his secret. The vampire is about to bite.
And to see what happens next, you have to open your wallet.
You have to unlock the next episode.
Yeah.
And because the payments are small and frequent, or they're wrapped in a subscription you forget about, people don't realize how much they are actually spending. It's a predatory model designed to exploit an addiction to the story.
And Pine Drama, being from the creators of TikTok, is entering this market for free.
For now, that's the classic ByteDance strategy. They are undercutting all the competition. They're offering the slop for free to build a massive, massive user base as quickly as possible.
So they get everyone hopelessly addicted to my broke chef husband is a billionaire.
And once the habit is formed, once you have millions of daily active users who can't live without it, the paywall will inevitably go up.
Yeah.
Or the ads will become so frequent they're unbearable. The expert in the source, Hernan Lopez, calls it a clear experiment to ad monetization over time.
It's cynical, but it's brilliant from a business. But let's just step back and look at what this does to the actual visual quality of what we're all watching. Because if everything is moving toward being consumed on phones, whether it's Netflix mandates or Pine Drama, what happens to the actual art of cinematography?
It degrades significantly.
Yeah.
The source calls this the smaller-than-your-face problem.
Which is such a funny, perfect way to put it, smaller than your face.
But it's so accurate. Think about Matt Damon and Ben Affleck. They work with the best cinematographers in the world. They worry about how a movie looks on a massive IMAX screen. They spend weeks arguing about lighting ratio, deep shadows, subtle color grading.
But the audience is watching it on a screen smaller than their own face.
Right. And not just small. The viewing conditions are objectively terrible. You're on a bus with the sun glare on the screen. You're in a brightly lit laundromat. You have your phone brightness turned all the way down to save battery.
The source specifically lamented the death of shadows. They said, and I love, remember when nighttime had shadow? Now everything is just flat. Everything is bright.
It has to be.
Yeah.
If you shoot a scene like, say, The Godfather, with deep, rich blacks and moody atmospheric lighting, and you watch it on an iPhone 12 in broad daylight, it just looks like a black smear. You can't see anything. So to ensure visual intelligibility, filmmakers are being forced to light everything like a 90s sitcom.
Flat light, bright face, no contrast, no mood.
We get visual slop. And it's not just laziness on the part of the filmmakers. It's becoming a technical requirement for the media. If the screen is smaller than your face and covered in fingerprints, subtlety is your enemy. You need high visibility above all else.
So we get flat visuals, we get repetitive dialogue, we get 45-second clips that replace the show, and now we're even seeing the platforms try to reverse the flow. The source mentioned Disney and Instagram are trying to put social media on the TV.
Yes, the Ouroboros of content. The snake is officially eating its own tail.
You have to explain this. This makes no sense.
We spent the last decade shrinking cinema down to fit on our phones. Now, platforms like Instagram and TikTok are advertising that you can watch Reels and TikToks in your TV. Disney's opening up its Disney Plus platform to short-form, user-generated style content.
So we're blowing up low-resolution vertical phone content to fit on our beautiful 65-inch 4K television.
Exactly. And the source had a direct quote about this that I think speaks for everyone. Bro, I don't want to look at it on my TV.
I felt that in my soul. If I'm sitting down on my couch to watch my TV, I want to move. I don't want a 9.16 video of a guy dancing in his kitchen with giant black bars on either side.
But the industry is betting that the distinction is dissolving. They think there is no cinema and social media anymore. There's just content. And they want that content flowing on every single screen you own, regardless of whether it fits or looks good.
And through all of this, the dumbed-down scripts, the flat visuals, the vampire billionaires, Netflix and the other streamers are just shrugging their shoulders. They're just saying, look, we're a business.
And that's the hard truth we really have to land on. The expert in the source noted that Netflix doesn't take the world as they want it. They take it as it is.
They aren't art teachers. They're data analysts with a film library.
Precisely. They don't have a moral obligation to teach you how to watch a slow-burn French film. If their data says you are distracted, if the data says you are folding laundry, they will make the best damn laundry folding movies you've ever ignored.
You don't force a distracted population to sit through Citizen Kane. You give them red notes.
Again, you give them exactly what their overstimulated brain chemistry is asking for because it guarantees they won't cancel their subscription.
The source did mention one little glimmer of hope, or maybe it's just a rumor, something about Netflix potentially committing to a 45-day theatrical window for Warner.
Yeah, there's some talk about it. The source was a bit skeptical, though. Their take was that it shows you can bitch about something enough for them to change their mind. It suggests that if the creative community and, I guess, audiences push back hard enough, Netflix might make some concessions.
But is it a real pivot toward valuing the theatrical experience, or is it just a pacifier to quiet down the direct?
The analysis in our source suggests it's likely a business calculation, not an artistic. And it brings us to the really important question of where the money actually comes from in Hollywood now.
Right, because the box office isn't the king anymore, is it?
Not at all. The source used Superman as a prime example, a massive, globally recognized intellectual property. You'd think the box office is everything for a movie like that. But the source claims the real profit for that property didn't come from ticket sales.
So where did it come?
Licensing, merchandise, toys, and crucially, pay VOD, video on demand, after the fact. People renting it on Apple TV or Amazon for $20.
So the theatrical release is basically just a giant 2-hour marketing campaign for everything else.
It's a billboard. It's a way to generate hype and cultural relevance so that you'll buy the toys for your kids and then rent the stream 3 months later. The theatrical run itself is almost a loss leader in some cases.
So whether Netflix puts a movie in theaters for 45 days or for 0 days, their core model hasn't changed one bit.
No. Their model is retention. They need you subscribed. They need you to not click away. And if that means repeating the plot every 5 minutes, blowing up a helicopter in the opening scene, making sure the lighting is bright enough to see on a bus, well, that's what they're going to do.
Man, this has been a lot. I feel like we've just stared directly into the abyss of modern content.
It is heavy. It's a bit bleak, but it helps to understand why things feel the way they do, you know? It's not just you, it's the system.
Let's try to recap this whole journey. We started with Matt Damon telling us that scripts are being written for people who aren't really listening, the Tide Pod audience.
Yeah.
We realized that classic visual storytelling is dying because we can't trust the audience to actually look at the screen. We saw how marketing edits on TikTok are becoming more important and more popular than the shows themselves. And we ended our journey in the vertical hellscape of Pine drama, watching billionaire werewolves for $80 a month.
The trajectory is crystal clear. Content is becoming shorter, faster, more repetitive, and visually flatter. It is evolving, or maybe devolving, to perfectly match our fractured attention span. We are feeding the brain rot, and the industry is happily serving it up on a silver platter.
The Tide Pod cinema prophecy is real. It's here.
It really is. We're living it.
So here is a final thought and it's one that's been nagging at me. We talked about those rookie fan edits on TikTok. We talked about how the edit is what draws people in. But if the 45-second vibe edit is what that's what gets the millions of views and all the engagement, and the show itself is just the boring rap.
Where does that lead us in the long run?
Are we approaching a future where the edit is the final product, where we just stop making the 45-minute show entirely? Will studios just start producing a constant stream of disconnected, high-budget, 60-second viral clips?
A narrative without a story. Just a collection of moments.
Just moments. No context, no plot, just an endless database of vibes tailored specifically to your algorithm.
That is a chilling thought. The death of the story, replaced by the eternal feed.
On that cheerful note, thanks for diving in with us. I'm going to go try and watch a movie tonight without looking at my phone. Wish me luck.
Good luck. You're going to need it.